Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. My name is Peter Loshak. Today is Thursday, September 14th, and this Saturday, September 16th, we have Canelo Alvarez against Triple G. Huge super fight going in Las Vegas. Everyone's discussing it, debating it. Two elite fighters at the top of their game still, I think, and we're going to break this fight down from a betting and odds perspective with our regular MMA and boxing odds guest analyst, Andreas Hale, who notably nailed the recent McGregor-Mayweather fight, calling for Mayweather inside the distance, and that paid off nicely at minus 150. Andreas Hale, thanks for being back with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, so Sal Alvarez against Triple G. Everyone's got a different opinion. Most people's opinion, though, of this fight is that it's very, very tough to call. A lot of people calling it a coin flip. So if you really believe that it is basically a toss-up here, then maybe just from an odds perspective, you want to take Canelo, because right now Canelo is a pretty decent-sized underdog, all things considered. Right now at 5 dimes, Triple G minus 160, and Canelo Alvarez plus 140 on the other side. So if you really believe that this is too tough to call, just a coin flip, a toss-up, then from a betting perspective, take Alvarez at plus 140. Let's start with that. Andreas Hale, do you think this fight really is a toss-up, too hard to call, and is really 50-50 on either side?
No, I don't. I think it's funny because that's something that has been discussed over the years, and it's shifted slowly towards Canelo Alvarez. When the reality is that Canelo Alvarez hasn't fought a true 160-pounder. He's never been hit by a true 160-pounder, and he's facing the hardest-hitting 160-pounder of them all. So with that being said, I believe that Triple G should be the favorite. And I understand, because it's a name recognition for Canelo. He fought Floyd Mayweather. He fought Austin Crowder. He fought Miguel Cotto. But these are all smaller fighters. So from a betting perspective, I can understand why, if you think it's a coin flip, but I don't. I'm leaning heavily towards Golovkin in this fight.
All right, so there are 3 key factors here. One of them is the added weight for Canelo. Maybe we'll get to that a little bit more in a second. 2 other huge factors here that everyone's discussing, debating, and weighing the importance of. First of all, obviously the age difference, right? Triple G significantly older than Canelo Alvarez. Alvarez pretty much clearly, we can assume, in the heart of his prime right now. Triple G not a little bit past his prime. And the second factor everyone's talking about, everyone's discussing, of course, is Triple G's last fight. For people who don't know, Triple G is undefeated in his career, and 33 out of his 37 fights have come by knockout. One of those 4 that didn't was his last fight against Jacobs, where he looked like he might have taken a step back in terms of his ferocity, his desire to get knockouts. Other people are saying that was by design, because if he had absolutely flattened Jacobs, Alvarez wouldn't even have taken this fight. That's a matter of debate, I think. But the big question is Triple G's last fight. Is that a sign that maybe he's not quite as powerful as he was in his prime, or do you think there's that we can forgive the fact that he didn't absolutely dominate Jacobs as he normally dominates all of his fights?
Well, see, here's the funny thing. People are dismissing Danny Jacobs like he didn't come into the fight with like an 18-fight knockout streak.
Right.
Like he wasn't the bigger man, and he was significantly bigger. A lot of people forget he didn't even get on the scale the day of the fight because he had gained so much weight, and it was perfectly under his right, but that's what he did to absorb Golovkin's power. Danny Jacobs is the second best middleweight in the world, and it's not even close. People forget Jacobs decimated Peter Quinlan. Quinlan hasn't been the same since. And you look at everything else that Jacobs has done, he's a very accomplished fighter. So for Golovkin to not knock him out, and people using that as a knock against Triple G is pretty ridiculous. But that's what people do. People try to find chinks in this man's armor and try to take him down. So that fight should really have no bearing on it, because Jacobs is significantly bigger, and it's a different bigger than Canelo. Canelo cuts weight and then he blows up the day of the fight. Jacobs cuts weight, but he doesn't blow up because he's already a pretty big guy. So you look at that and you look at the skills, and I have to be honest with you, if Jacobs would have fought Canelo that night, Danny Jacobs would have came out victorious. So we should take nothing away from that fight whatsoever.
All right, yeah, that is what Andreas Hale is so good at, separating the wheat from the chaff here, the hype from reality. So I guess you're seeing that Triple G should have a pretty big advantage here. Alvarez, though, which I think you would agree with, is certainly an improving fighter, certainly since the Mayweather fight, which he lost by decision. Some of his sort of deficiencies that we saw from him then, I think he's improving on, right? He's a better boxer right now. His defense is great. Is Alvarez improving, or has he plateaued?
No, he's definitely improving. I mean, he's looked a lot better since the Mayweather fight. It taught him a lot. And you look at how he's been carefully matched up. He outsized guys like Amir Khan and Miguel Cotto. He was much bigger than him. He outskilled and out-hustled Arasandi Lara. and he out Mexican prided Julio Cesar Chavez and Alfredo Angulo. And these are all different looks to get Canelo ready for Golovkin. And in each of those fights, he's looked a lot better. Even Austin Trout, which a lot of people thought was a really, really close fight, which I think it was. It just gave him different looks. So there's no doubt that Canelo's gotten better. But there is a reason why he hasn't fought Golovkin at 160 pounds, despite the fact that he is naturally a bigger fighter. He just has never dealt with somebody with that kind of pressure and power. So these things, which we'll discuss when we talk about these predictions, are all going to play a very significant factor. That and plus Canelo's conditioning. There's a lot to discuss here, and there's a lot to unpack, which we haven't really seen Canelo challenge on. Triple G was challenged by Danny Jacobs. Canelo hasn't necessarily been challenged by a guy as big as him.
Right. One final devil's advocate point I want to make, though, we've seen throughout Canelo's career, right? He has kind of overachieved. He's multiple times taken on fighters that people thought he, might not have a good chance against, couldn't quite beat, and he's proven them all wrong, except in the Mayweather fight. But Alvarez does have a history of sort of overachieving what people are expecting from him, right?
Yeah, for the most part. And I think that the biggest name on his resume that was a big danger to his record was Erislandy Lara. That was a very, very tough fight that a lot of people wouldn't have taken. So much credit to Canelo. Look, it's not Canelo's fault that the Triple G fight hasn't happened yet. It was by design by Oscar De La Hoya to try to build it using a page of the Mayweather blueprint to try to build the fight and give his fighter enough looks and opponents to get him ready for the Triple G fight. Canelo has all the tools to be a great fighter. I just really think he's in over his head against Golovkin. Not to say that this thing is going to be a complete blowout, but there are different aspects of Triple G's game that Canelo has never dealt with.
Right, and one of those might be just Triple G's fighting style, right? Which is aggressive. He pushes the pace and he moves forward, and that sort of fits right in with Canelo's style, which is more of a counter-punching style. But do you think that fighting at this weight with someone fighting that style is going to be a unique challenge for Alvarez here?
Well, what I'll do is this. I'll compare it to a fight that maybe people may not have seen, but I know a lot of boxing fans did see. Miguel Cotto against Antonio Margarito. It was a fight where Miguel Cotto was the faster fighter and Margarito was the stalker. He wasn't, Golovkin's a much improved version of Margarito minus the loaded gloves, of course. But what Canelo does is he counterpunches, he moves around the ring, he stays on the ropes a lot, which you'll see in a lot of his fights, which is what you don't want to do against Golovkin. Golovkin's a pressure fighter who knows how to cut off the ring very well. And if you talk to any fighter who's facing Golovkin, the biggest challenge is his presence. He's never not in your face. He always finds a way to be around you, and that's extremely exhausting for a lot of fighters. A lot of fighters wilt and break down. Canelo's the type of guy who's going to try to fight back, which I think is going to give him a lot of problems. So in this kind of a fight with Canelo, he's going to have to find a way to keep his back off the ropes, which is something that he really enjoys doing. He's going to have to not fall into the trap of making this slugfest, which he wants to do for the fans. And he's going to have to get the judges on his side, which means he's going to have to steal rounds. But I really think his conditioning is going to betray him the longer the fight goes. The one aspect a lot of people don't talk about is Triple G's body punching. And that's going to sap a lot of energy by a Canelo who tends to fade later as the fight goes. He starts off really strong, but he fades late. The Cotto Margarito fight is a perfect example of this. Cotto started fast, and the pressure just got to him. And as the rounds wore on, Margarito's punching power began to make Cotto wilt. And by the 11th round, he was finished and was only a matter of time. I see this very similar scenario playing out with Golovkin as he stalks Canelo, loses a few rounds early, but the body punches and just the punishment in his presence eventually wears Canelo down for a late stoppage.
All right. You think that the added weight that Canelo's got as he's bulked up recently is going to exacerbate those problems with his endurance in the later rounds?
Yeah, guys who bulk up always come up a little tight. They start the fight a little tight. It takes a little bit more energy to throw the punches because you're not used to fighting 12 rounds with that kind of muscle, because Canelo looks extremely muscular in his neck and shoulder areas. It also kind of slows you down a little bit, and Canelo's going to need all the speed that he can get. So you put those things together, and you question the condition. You question the muscles don't necessarily stop a punch from hitting you, and it doesn't make your chin any stronger. We've never seen Canelo really get hit. The only person he's been rocked against was Jose Miguel Cotto, and that was several years ago, I believe, at 147 pounds. Never seen him get hit by a true 160-pounder. So the muscles, they look great, but they really aren't going to matter in this fight.
All right, so let's get to the picks, shall we? Of course, you know, when you if you really have a great read on a fight, you can get much better value betting props. In other words, betting how the specific fight is going to be won or lost than just by betting who's going to win. And you did a great job with that in the Mayweather fight. Mayweather, of course, was a huge favorite. Tough to lay that kind of a line there, but you like Mayweather inside the distance, only -150, and that one did cash. So here we have Triple G at -160 to win the fight. Alvarez +140 to win the fight, and then of course a whole bunch of props that have a lot better value. What's your take on how this fight's likely to turn out?
Well, like I said, I believe it's really dependent on how Canelo fights this fight. You know, I think this fight can go as long as he makes it, and I think his cardio is going to betray him. So what I'm looking at here is Triple G to win this fight by a late stoppage. Now, the trouble with this is a lot of the prop bets I see is over and under 9.5 rounds, which is right where we were at with the Mayweather fight. Now, this gets tough because round 7 is usually a round that makes or breaks a fighter. You really see them wilt their conditioning, and this is where Triple G can step on the gas. So that being said, I'm looking at the under here because I believe you have a better line with the under, but it's very, very close. I don't know if Canelo will make it out of the 10th round. And it's all, again, I think it's going to be, his Mexican pride is going to be his detriment because I think he's going to try to out-Mexican fight Golovkin because, you know, they say Golovkin has the Mexican style. So I think at some point, he's going to try to get into a firefight, and that's going to take some rounds off of him. So I see this one ending around early in the 10th round or early in the 11th round. I could be wrong here, but where the value is at is in the under. So I would say to go with Triple G in the under here.
Well, the under is 9.5 rounds, though, at +175. So a finish in the 10th or 11th round would be a loss there.
Yeah, well, he would have to finish it, you know, early in the 9th round, which I think is a distinct possibility. But if you put a gun to my head, I would say, hey, listen, you probably ended in the 10th, but I think the value was in the 9th. I think Canelo's going to make a mistake that's going to cut some rounds off of this. And if you want some value here, I say go ahead and take the under.
All right, well, how about this? You ready? You might like this one that I'm about to present to you, Andreas Hale. Golovkin wins in rounds 7 through 12, +307, 3-1 odds on that one. So if he wins by decision, you got a loss. But if he wins in any of those rounds, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12, +307.
Give me that all day.
That's all day. Is that your official pick for this fight?
Absolutely. That is absolutely my official pick. I think Canelo's good enough to last at least 6 rounds, but I don't think he can make it out of 36 minutes of fighting with Golovkin.
All right, rounds 5 through 8 is at +512, and rounds 9 through 12 is +491. But I guess you're just going to stick with the 7 through 12 +307?
Yes, I am. Also, I'm curious, what is the line on Canelo by decision? Because that's the only way I see him winning this fight.
Canelo by decision. Let me skip up here. Give me 1 second. Alvarez, let's see. Alvarez by decision is +237 right now at 5 dimes.
It's an interesting pick because Canelo has gotten a lot of pretty good scores on Vegas judges' scorecards. And if you look at the Mayweather fight where he got a draw, which I think was pretty ridiculous. I mean, you look at the Lara fight that a lot of boxing pundits thought he lost. He ended up winning pretty handily on the Las Vegas judges' scorecard. So that's also an option. I'm not going to bet it because I'm a big believer in Triple G in this fight. But Canelo, I think he can win a fight on decision by stealing a few rounds and necessarily not passing the eye test for fans, but stealing a fight and setting up a trilogy with Triple G. That is definitely an option. All
right, sounds great. I'm personally going to hold off on this one as far as an official pick is concerned, but Andreas Hale liking a late stoppage by Triple G, and rounds 7 through 12 is +307. That is Andreas Hale, official pick for this fight. Great breakdown, as always. Talk to you again very soon, Andreas.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.